Welcome back, everybody, to another East of Stretford podcast. Today, we're talking about what went wrong since Sir Alex Ferguson and David Gill left Manchester United. And there's been so many things, and we're going to do it in a playlist. So we're going to do a manager's edition, which is today. We're going to do an Ed Woodward and the board edition, and we're going to do a players edition. So, sit back, relax. Today, we're talking about the managers. What's up, boys, before we get into it? How are y'all doing?
Good. How are you doing, Arman?
Good. Vishnu, you staying safe?
Yeah, I just fled to my parents' house. I'm in Chennai now, so it's a little bit of a shift, but we're here. We'll get this started. We've got a lot of time in our hands, boys, so there's no excuses for us whatsoever to not post content.
Yeah,
and Karthik's got a nice shirt on, dude. Where's that from, buddy?
Dude, no, I'm just taking it a level up every episode. First then a t-shirt. Now I'm gonna get a haircut, but I can't get a haircut now.
Yeah, we can't get a haircut. That's my biggest trouble. But dude, on to the topic that you guys have clicked on this video for. Today we're talking about managers. Why have we fucked up with manager after manager, changing after 6 months, changing after 2 years, and then 3 years and a bit with Jose Mourinho? So as you guys know, we started with David Moyes, who replaced Sir Alex Ferguson as the chosen one. I don't know about that. Then we moved to Louis Van Gaal, a very experienced manager, has managed Bayern, has managed Barca. And then we moved to Jose Mourinho. I don't need to give him much of an introduction. One of the best managers in the history of the game, but in the past 5 to 6 years has been absolute dog shit. So we're going to dive deep into each one of those. And starting with Mr. David Moyes, Vishnu, kick us off.
David Moyes, the supposed chosen one. In all fairness, I'll start off easy with him as well. It's a bit difficult to fill the shoes of Sir Alex Ferguson, who is undoubtedly the best manager the world has ever seen in the game of football. He had won the league as well in his final year as manager. Lost his final game, I think so. But yeah, from going into 2012 to 13 season, when we won the title, raking up 86 points with 28 wins, steps in a chosen a chosen manager by Sir Alex Ferguson himself. He had said that David Moyes would succeed him, which is a shocking, revelation for all fans at that point in time, because David Moyes was just the Everton manager, and they had finished sixth their previous year with 63 points. Moyes comes in, and from day one, you could see that there's been a sort of he just didn't fit the role as expected. It is tough on him as well. It's but even from day one, he was just very uncouth about how he was awestruck about Man United the whole time. So he didn't really he didn't really seem to be a manager already in command. He was still trying to get into the whole aspect of being a Manchester United manager. The end of the year, he finished with only 64 points. United finished seventh that season with only 50% wins, 19 wins, 7 draws and 12 losses that season, which is pretty much what he would have done with Everton. So it didn't really make a difference to us. He didn't win 8 trophies. He was signed on a 6-year deal. Can you believe that? 6-year deal for a fucking manager is ridiculous. And he lasted only 9 months and was fired after United's bad performance, and Ryan Giggs took over, I think. Mm-hmm. But in this time as well, I have 4 or 5 things that really went wrong with David Moyes. So he didn't last the season despite inheriting a title-winning squad that included Rio Ferdinand, Wayne Rooney, all these guys as well. Rio in an interview said that he was very hands on everything. So he wanted to be a part of every single thing, and he didn't really delegate, which is what Sir Alex Ferguson did a lot, and he was good at doing that. So he struggled there because he couldn't control everything. So the coaching, the player management, everything he had to be hands-on on it, which kind of sucked for him, I guess. And he also said that he was focusing more on the other team's strengths than United's own tactics, because he would look at like games against Liverpool or like I guess Chelsea, and they'll be talking about Hazard for most of the session and not even like discussing their own tactics. So they're like looking to solve problems instead of creating goals, which is a backward step as well in a managerial career. When he came in as well, he severed a lot of ties with the coaching staff. One of the most notable ones was Rene Meulenstein. He was our first team coach, and he became the assistant manager as well for Sir Alex Ferguson before he left. This guy was fucking insane. And it's, if you're coming into like a big club, you should, have at least coaches or like at least a backroom staff who are like quite comfortable with the players and stuff, because you are new into the setup and you don't want to create that sort of like newness with the team's culture as well. You want to keep that going because they've just won a title as well. So that was his first issue. He failed the transfer market because of his like, I remember, I think we were like really poaching Cesc Fabregas, if you guys remember this.
And Tony Cruz.
And Tony Cruz.
We were very close to Cruz.
Very, very close to Cruz. But then like Cesc Fabregas, it was very unrealistic that Cesc would come to us. But at the same time, like Cesc said that like it was a very desperate attempt for Man United to try and sign him. At the end of the day, we only signed 2 players. One was Juan Mata, which I think is a pretty good buy at that time at least. Which is shocking because he was Chelsea season player of the year the previous year.
Twice.
And and then Mourinho was like, fuck off. And then the second notable transfer he did was Marouane Fellaini, and that was deadline day January transfer, which is also
weren't they both January transfers? Just
were they actually? Oh, I'm not sure. I think Mata was signed.
I think Mata was season or whatever.
Okay.
We'll check on that. And so he desperately failed in the transfer market. He failed to impose like a distinctive style of play at Man United. We were like very non-threatening in attack. We were like shambolic in the defense. And, there was no really it was very lackluster Man United, which is, very hard to digest after a successful season with Ferguson. He failed to get the best out of players like Wayne Rooney, Adnan Januzaj, Juan Mata, even Robin Van Persie to some extent. Tactically very underwhelming manager, man. And along with I felt like he didn't really do well with the senior players as well. There was like a deference there. He didn't really work with like Rio, Vidic. Vidic was still there last time, right? Then I think he was captain.
Yeah.
Captain.
I think it was his last season.
Yeah, and like I'll tell you what, like this is a little bit of a fun fact as well. Moyes' first game as manager, I watched that game. It was. Do you guys remember when they came to Thailand for an All-Star game?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd gone to watch that game, and I saw Moyes' first game. We lost that game 1-0 to the Thailand All-Stars.
Was that the game where Danny Welbeck tried to do a step over?
Exactly.
I was there too. Yeah, that was fucking insane. Dude, I'm going to send you a picture of us at that game and just fucking put it up, dude. It was depressing.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'll do that. It was such a depressing game. Rooney traveled with the team, but he got injured and he didn't play that game.
Yeah.
So, must have been a sign. But, Moyes didn't really fit into the club. He just lasted 9 months. And, it was sad to see because, like, we've had a manager for 26 years. And then suddenly our next one only lasted 9 months. So I feel like that's where all the troubles began. We couldn't really cope. And it was bad from the United's executive point of view as well, hiring a sort of, for me, I would say a substandard manager to fill the shoes of the Alex Ferguson. Yeah.
I want to counter some of what you said though. Like you said, Adnan Januzaj, dude, he developed a fuck ton under Moyes. To be fair, he only had a good season under David Moyes, like his only good time. Also, the thing is, Mata was a January transfer, by the way. So Moyes got nobody in that season, and you could already tell when Ferguson won the Premier League, that was an aging squad. Like we all knew it was the perfect time for Fergie to leave, because the squad was getting depleted as fuck. They were all old. We brought in no transfers. Kagawa was still brought in during Fergie's reign.
Yeah.
And it's our chief executive left at the same time. David Gill had been there the entire time with Alex Ferguson. There's a huge change. We brought in Ed Woodward. Yeah, I don't know why Moyes brought in his entire own training staff. That was fucked. We should have kept some people, from the past. But like to get no transfers to an aging squad was a bit unfair for him. And giving him a 6-year contract is just like it's unreasonable for him to be able to live up to some high ass expectations, after the best manager of all time. To give him only 9 months is pretty unfair with a depleted squad. And RVP was on the decline. Rooney was on the decline. Vidic got sold to Inter the next year. Was at dog shit. Didn't even make the starting lineup after 2 games.
He was the captain as well, dude. He was our captain at that time as well.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
First went to QPR, was also benched at QPR. So there is a bit of unfair load thrown on David Moyes, but obviously David Moyes wasn't the one. Like I can't counter your other points. Tactically, it wasn't there. He still had enough of a squad to do better than what he did. But I feel like we have to give him some at least because we ruined his career.
Yeah, we did.
He should have stayed at
I completely agree with that too. Like I just feel like what Moyes was doing with Everton at that point was pretty impressive, but that wasn't enough, which I never understood why. All right, he's doing well with a team like Everton, but what was your reasoning to bring him to United? Like, our deliverables for the season and stuff was so much more higher than what Everton's is. So it didn't make sense to me at that point. Obviously, we were all shocked, and I guess what happened was inevitable. Like, I don't think I never thought Moyes could surprise us because I was never, I don't know. Like, it's a different ball game when you have to deal with top tier players compared to what he was dealing with at Everton. So that's how.
But to be honest, I thought David Moyes would do well at United because I saw where United was going. They wanted a long-term manager. They didn't want. We could have brought in Jose. Yeah. Jose was heavily linked for the job, and because we didn't give it to him, he went back to Chelsea. But I saw our approach was we don't want someone like Jose who will come in for 2 years. We want someone like Fergie who will last us into the next decade.
Yeah.
And Everton, he did a great job. Man. He was there for 10 years plus, and he took a decent squad, to be 6th place every year. So,
absolutely. Yeah, and he
was consistent for sure. Yeah.
So sure. I think that's it on David Moyes. He was not good enough to be the chosen one, but he was also unfairly treated a bit. And I think Vishnu covered it very well. Now on to the man who replaced him, the man who's the funniest fucking character I've seen in post-match press conferences. Mike Smalling, notably, and the dive to the referee. Mr. Louis Van Gaal, Kartik, take us away with his time at
LVG. So LVG came to us right after Moyes, after that season. He took over from Giggsy, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And so I was on the season of 2014 to 15 was his first season. He played a total of 105 matches. We only had 54 wins and 25 losses. So that's again a 50% almost win streak for us. So that wasn't great either. But yeah, I mean, he brought in, I think we should start with, there's a lot to talk about this guy. I don't know, he was there with us for 2 seasons. He's brought in several players and players of extremely high quality, just to begin with Di Maria, Martial, Shaw, Herrera, Schneiderlin, Depay, Rojo, Darmian, Daley Blind, Schweinsteiger, and Falcao on loan. Oh my God, dude! This was. If you just there's a starting 11 right here on this. The kind of quality he brought in, and I don't know, man. I think when Moyes had left, we were in 7th position at that point, the last season. But right after that, after Van Gaal took over, we finished 4th that season. So I think we saw some amounts of improvement. But I think the biggest thing Van Gaal ever struggled with was, again, he couldn't establish a style of play. Like you could see, like every game, he was constantly confused with where to play people. And he had a completely packed squad at this point. I think the first season when he came in, like I just saw a picture while I was reading up on this guy. There was a picture with Robin van Persie, Rooney, Falcao, and Di Maria all celebrating a goal. And you're just looking at that picture and you're just like, how did a team with so much quality just finish fourth in that season, you know? So yeah, dude, like it just didn't make sense. Like I don't know. I feel like Van Gaal was, I think, the beginning of this rebuilding process that we're going through right now. Because once Moyes left, a lot of our older players left too. And for Van Gaal, it was twice the job he had to do. He had to completely establish a new team. So you saw during Van Gaal's time, there were a lot of positives, like Rashford. It was the beginning of Rashford's era. That's when he started playing for us a lot. We started seeing the kind of quality he had in us. I hate to say it, but even Lingard played really well underneath him. And at that point, we weren't hating on Jesse as much as we are now. But that's Jesse's fault for sure. And yeah, I mean, what else? And yeah, David De Gea was probably his his reign of being one of the best goalkeepers in the world started under Van Gaal as well. His first season was pretty, I guess, slow, but then we saw what De Gea was capable of under like it started under Van Gaal. And yeah, he brought us some strong players like Herrera and Blind as well, who stayed for a while, who did good. Herrera especially, and he's also in one of his talks, like he also pointed out Herrera to be like probably the most significantly improved player since when he initially brought him to, to when he left. Like he was probably one of his best players, is what he said. So yeah, but I think his biggest issue was his strategy, and I don't think that quite worked for us. He fucked up with Di Maria as well, is what I feel. Di Maria, when he came on, as soon as we brought him, the first 2-3 games, suddenly those series of lackluster performances we had under Moyes, and when he started off Di Maria at the wing, we had probably the most incredible, like the first 2-3 games, dude, we could see what Di Maria was bringing to this team. Like the pace on the wings, the balls he was playing, the attacking prowess that he showed was phenomenal. So, but then I think what happened after that is I was reading up on this too. Van Gaal was like, I felt like Di Maria wasn't delivering enough in the winger position, which is why he moved into a more central position. He was like, for a player who I paid 18 million for, wasn't doing enough in the winger position. So I had to, I had to move him to a more central position. And that's where I think he fucked up. And I think another player he wasted too during his time was Juan Mata. He kept playing Mata on the right wing a lot when Mata was Chelsea's number 10, dude. I think I just felt like Van Gaal didn't have the patience to kind of see this team rebuild. It's like what Ollie has done, for instance. Like Ollie has stuck to his guns. Like he's stuck to his formation. He's not tried to change it around a lot. He's still playing players that they're good at. Like Rashford, for instance, like he's put Rashford on the wings, even though Rashford took a while to start scoring this season. But once he got used to that position, dude, I don't think right now Rashford in that position, there are very few players who are better than Rashford, especially in the Premier League. So yeah, I mean, it was all, I don't feel like Van Gaal had could establish that discipline with his formation because he kept changing things around way too much. So yeah, I mean, that's mainly what I wanted to talk about. But we'll get into it more, guys.
Yeah.
Cool.
There's a few things again I want to counter to what you're saying, because I again feel that there's some like good things that you didn't bring up, and some things where you have to give him some leeway. So like you said, the entire squad left: Ferdinand, Vidic, Evra. A lot of our midfield attack was getting older, and at times our back four was, I kid you not, it was Varela, who is now playing in not even second tier football.
Varela, dude.
Paddy McNair, who plays in the championship. Tyler Blackett, I don't know who the fuck he is. And Timothy Fosu-Mensah, who's supposed to be really good, but he's a center mid and he was playing right back. And like, dude, what kind of, like, and then he had Chris Smalling and Phil Jones, but they were injured so much during his time. And like, then he was trying to implement this philosophy where we're playing like, possession-based football, like Bayern. I mean, like Barcelona does. But it ended up being so boring because we had nothing to penetrate, especially after Di Maria left. We were so slow. It was we didn't have the players for that system. But
Right.
I feel like I should say like that he had to rebuild the entire squad, and that's why there's such
He
a
did.
huge list
Yeah.
of names.
Yeah.
And but he also had to
Yeah.
deliver quickly, so he had to bring in some people like Falcao who were supposed to be really
Yeah.
good. But we're coming toward they
But
couldn't play. He went to Chelsea after he completely
it's
fucked Chelsea as
yeah.
well.
Yeah.
I think it was just a matter of. I think he also mentioned he's like adapting to the Premier League is obviously way harder for a lot of players, and to come into a
Mhm.
team that is now trying to figure out this new era of players, a new era of football and the style, the way they play. Like it was hard for people like Falcao, Di Maria coming from completely
Yeah.
different type of leagues. Like they did have quality. Like Falcao was probably at that point one of the most sought out after strikers ever at that point. And when we got Falcao as well, like at that point, yeah, I was a little confused, but I get it. Like Percy was on his decline, we had to get Falcao, and so it
But
all
so
made
was
sense to me.
Falcao.
Like yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But we brought him in on loan, so I guess I think Falcao had a little more left in him than Percy did by that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I just think I don't. Yeah, I mean, Van Gaal did had a lot to do, and I don't think people realize that. I think there is this theory that I have, though. I feel like Van Gaal, they should have probably brought in Van Gaal a lot sooner than probably at this point, like where he could have at least been with the older team and then slowly had the
I
time
agree.
to like instead of getting more. I think at that point, as soon as Fergie left, what we needed was, I'm not saying Moyes is not experienced, but we needed someone who's handled like big clubs before. And Van
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gaal,
Yeah.
he exactly. So yeah, and just before he came to United, when he came to United, I was really happy to be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
he had a
Me
pretty
too.
successful World Cup season with Netherlands to the finals.
Yeah.
Okay, they didn't win it, but whatever. But yeah, yeah, I think that was yeah, I think that's it. I think he just got the sharp end of the sword, and it was tough, dude. I don't think everyone could have done this. And right now, again, we're still in that process of rebuilding, and
Yeah.
finally we're getting there, I guess, slowly. But yeah, it was a lot for Van
Leo.
Gaal.
Dude, but like
But
yeah,
yeah, he was yeah, yeah. Go ahead, go ahead.
yeah. In his defense, yeah, absolutely, you guys were spot on. Yeah, Moyes kind of fucked things up over for him. He had to like sort of take that burden upon himself to rebuild
Yeah,
the side and stuff. But man, it was. I just remember like when Van Gaal was. This is the reason why I don't like Van Gaal like as much as like maybe you guys maybe have a lot more pity for him than I do. Um, it was so boring football.
It was.
Like
It
yeah.
was
it
It
so
was
was
boring.
it was fucking
very,
yeah. It
very
was
boring football. And I
yeah.
have a stat there as
Boring.
well. United had the most back passes in the Premier League that season with Louis Van Gaal.
Mm,
Right, and we
mm.
had 3,222 passes, 400 more than Arsenal. And this is putting some sort of perspective onto this. That is very
Yeah,
boring football.
yeah.
It was, it was, there was no way that there was any exciting format of the game. It was one of the years that I, was very
And with such
bored.
quality, yeah.
Generally,
And we
like,
had
wasn't
such
so
quality in our
excited to
team too,
watch.
man. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
and
you know why,
but
dude? Like he only had Di Maria who could penetrate the box. Like it's supposed to be like when you're playing that system, you pass, you pass, you pass. Then you see an opening and someone fast like Martial. That's why when Martial came
Yeah.
in, he did so well because then you penetrate that little hole.
yeah.
But we were playing Young and Valencia on the wing who can't dribble for shit, and we're old. That's my
Yep,
thinking.
already.
And
Yeah.
another thing I'm
Um,
pissed off about is like here's the reason we let go of Johnny Evans. Um,
mm,
um, I understand there's like three other like Nani, RVP, and Chicharito left during that time as well, but that's excusable. They were like past their prime,
Yeah.
and but yeah, Johnny Evans, Rafael, all these guys like they could have had like a good future with United if if they had like the proper guidance and stuff, and we wouldn't have struggled. We wouldn't have fucked things up a lot more if if it wasn't for Louis Van Gaal. Uh, yeah, well, that's pretty much
And
it. Yeah.
yeah, and another thing that I found really interesting and that I found is when Van Gaal was hired by Woodward, he was straight up. He's like, this is the only club that I joined, and the club never spoke to me about their philosophies. So I was just
mhm.
like, he's like, every club I've been to has told them about what they're looking for, what their playing style, the kind of philosophy they follow. But at this
Mhm.
point, like there was no such conversation ever. So I feel like Van Gaal felt like he was just entering something where now he had to establish his own philosophy and start this whole new era for Manchester United, but that completely failed
And he
pretty
Yeah.
bad.
was. That's so true. Shit
Yeah,
management. Like,
yeah, completely. So I
yep.
think yeah, it's Yeah, that's it. When Van Gaal, for me, I guess.
Just rip to shreds, Mr. fucking Jose Mourinho, dude. And I think we can all say we all very much hate this manager. Like he took us back, I think, years in progress. He. The thing that really pissed me off before I go into the story behind his demise was that every decision seemed to be made out of a selfish, instinct out of him. Everything he did was, how do I protect myself? How do I look good in front of the media? How do I make sure that I do not get any blame for this? And it was just like every single game, it was so fucking annoying to see. But let's go through some of this history that Jose Mourinho, that started his demise from the very first day. And the very first thing he did was in preseason and going into the regular season, he didn't take Schweinsteiger onto the traveling squad for the US trip. Then he moved Schweinsteiger, a fucking legend of the game, a legend, onto playing with the reserves. What the fuck, dude? If you don't want to pick him, fine.
Yeah.
If you don't want him in your 18, fine. You do not move someone like that and force him. He apparently took his name out of the fucking locker room and moved him into the reserve squad. Didn't even allow him to sit in. What could a classy man like Schweinsteiger have done? And that fucker didn't complain once. He went to every single one of our games and watched from the stands. And he always supported the team. So Jose just started off on the wrong foot with all of us there. But he won the fucking Community Shield. Barely won. Zlatan saved us in that game.
Yeah.
And LVG brought us there by winning the FA Cup. So, then he's already saying, I've won something. And then slowly, he started bringing in his own players. He brought Mkhitaryan, he brought in Bailly, he brought in Zlatan and Pogba. The two really, really big signings for him, Zlatan and Pogba, which he then went on to ride their coattails. Like Zlatan saved us in every game. We had no sense of football. And he was always saying, we need to transition. But it was almost more boring than fucking LVG because we were fucking sitting back against the shittiest teams and Zlatan would score a goal out of nowhere. And I think the best one is Bournemouth's goal. He scored it from fucking 32 yards out in our second or third game. So I think it all showed from there that we're starting on a negative approach and we're not moving forward like the United way. Okay, so now we're winning games. We're still, in the running. And then he starts saying, okay, Henrik Mkhitaryan, you can fuck off now. You played one game when I brought you in, but, I'm going to keep you out, in the dog house for 6 months and keep ripping you in the media saying he's not ready. Then bring you in for the toughest game against Manchester City with Jesse Lingard. And then they played shit, brought him off for 45 minutes. Dude, you haven't played the man for 6 months. You're bringing him in the hardest game of our year when Man City's home. And then you take him out in 45 minutes and you again say in the post-match press conference, he's not ready. He lost us this game. What the fuck, dude? What kind of management is that? So already 2 players he's fucked with. Then we keep going, shit performances after shit performances. We're doing terrible in the Premier League. We put all of our attention on the Europa League. And somehow we win. Somehow we get to the final, even though Zlatan gets injured. And even though he carried us there, and we win. And it puts a Band-Aid on all the shit he just did. And I agree as a fan. Hell yeah, dude, we're in the Champions League. But we just fucking 6th Premier League. And it just puts a Band-Aid. And he used that as an excuse. So then, okay, we go on to the next season and he brings in a few more players. And again, we start off the season, we're playing shit. But we keep winning. Somehow 1-0s. And all the other teams are shit. Liverpool is still struggling because they just brought in Klopp. And, Tottenham aren't doing well. Arsenal are doing shit. And we get to second place, even though all of those teams that I just mentioned were way better than us. Again, papering over the cracks. We had no structure. Then we move on to the third season where he can't stop bitching about the preseason. Oh, we shouldn't go to Asia. It's so fucking badly planned, blah, blah, blah. dude, non-stop complaining. Oh, the board didn't get me what I want. I didn't get a center back, but you still spent 78 million. You brought in
Yeah.
Fred and you brought in Diogo Dalot. But non-stop bitching, non-stop bitching. Finally, we go into the season and everything that was being papered over the cracks comes out. Pogba starts getting in heated debates. I mean, you see the training ground shit.
Yeah.
They fucking hate each other. Our best player, he's started the demise of why Pogba wanted to leave. Lukaku again wasn't performing this year after having a great first season. I didn't mention that we brought him in, but that was a huge signing. And everything starts to unravel. We're losing. He's blaming everybody that he can fucking get his hands on. Luke Shaw's too shit. He's unfit. He's fat. Lingard is not performing the way I want. Pogba's not performing. And then the most fucking disgraceful thing that he did was Anthony Martial was on a 6-game scoring streak, and it's about to be January, and Mr. Jose Mourinho decides, yes, let's bring in someone who will ruin our wage structure, someone who has been injured for the last 6 months, and when he came back, he was shit for Arsenal, and someone who's just have overall negative attitude and ruin everything for us. We brought in Alexis Sanchez, and he's really just like the peak of Pogba wants to get on Sanchez's salary. De Gea wants to get on Sanchez's salary. Rashford wants to get on, who's the only one who fucking deserves it. And that's the demise. He lost to Liverpool, and that's the history. He fucking lost to Liverpool after so long. We were all begging him to leave. It was so toxic. And that's his story. It was just a complete shit show under Jose Mourinho. And like I said, took us back years. Now I will hand the floor to you guys to, continue to shit on this man.
All right.
I'll go first. Man, Jose Mourinho, what a fucking story. He spent 461 million euros in total, by the way. And and also the whole point on Mkhitaryan, I think his confidence was just down because of that. I think he ended Mkhitaryan's career with that as well. He's not performing well at Arsenal now as well. Has he left yet? I don't think so.
He's in Roma.
He's in Roma.
Yeah. Oh, he's in Roma now, yeah. So, that was a swap deal with Alexis Sanchez for that. Didn't make sense at all. Sanchez really fucked things up a lot more for us. He's still our player. We're still facing that problem of he's being contracted. I think recently Inter Milan came out and said that, yo, fuck this guy. We don't need him. We're going to send him back to Manchester. I wonder if Ole is going to use him at all, or we might just, kick him out as well. Don't know about that. But Jose Mourinho's really fucked things over. Took us backwards 2 years at least. The whole park the bus mentality was very evident when he was playing with Man United, like you mentioned. We would just sit back and score one goal and sit back, no attacking football after that and stuff. We've lost. I think we could have scored a lot more goals if it wasn't for that philosophy. His big fucking ego was the biggest issue in the dressing room as well. He was making players a lot more. He was making players nervous and very uncomfortable. By suggesting that he was defending the team was actually hurting the team a lot more. If you guys remember the game after Sevilla, I think the Champions League game, where he just walks out, storms out, goes respect. We'll try and put that clip up here.
3 for me and 2 for them. Respect, man. Respect.
Respect. 3-0. Respect. Fucking bullshit.
But it's horrible, man. It's from a manager who's won Champions Leagues with 3 different teams, and he was hailed as one of the greatest, the chosen one, whatever it is, comes into our team, and it was a slow death of Man United as we know it. Fuck this guy, dude. Karthik, go for it.
And I think every time he was so close to getting sacked, he would go and win a game against Juventus or against and then he would like you said, Arman, he would just put a fucking band-aid on things. All right, I might have something, after all, he's a season trophy winner or whatever. But dude, at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of the issues we're facing with Pogba right now and the initial shit we went through with Lingard, the lack of discipline within the team, it had a lot to do with him, dude. Like he seems like this hardcore, like this person who's like so hardcore on discipline or whatever, but dude, he himself is so all over the place. Like he has no discipline in front of the media. He's just shitting on players. He doesn't think twice before what he says in front of the media, and that affected everyone, dude. And I think the players, I guess even the players like Pogba, Lingard, and stuff kept. I think that ego sort of like built within them too, and it was eventually between what happened between Pogba and Mourinho was just an ego clash, and it was so evident it was for the cameras, dude. Because dude, literally the media is only let in for like 15 minutes of their training sessions. So during that point is when Mourinho had to pick up a fucking fight. Like, come on, dude. Like this is definitely some fucked up, weird publicity shit that he was doing. But yeah, I mean, I think the only counterpoint I had was, Mourinho complained the fuckload, but the preseason games thing is something that even Louis Van Gaal pointed out, that what Manchester United have been struggling with lately is putting aside their commercial aspect of things and the football bit of it. And he's like, that's where like we need a really good technical director, which is what we all keep talking about. But yeah, because what happened was even when Louis Van Gaal came, the first season, the preseason games in the USA, we won all of them. We won all of them. Then we started the league, we played against Swansea, and we lost. And he was just like, yeah, obviously, players were fucking tired after playing like so many preseason games. It wasn't like 1, 2, or 3. It was a significant amount just for the commercial purposes. So yeah, it's like I get that point, I guess, but yeah, Mourinho was a fucking prick, and he couldn't stop complaining. And overall, he just, I think people don't realize what Ollie has done after Mourinho and the kind of mentality he's brought back. I don't know how he's managed to do that, but I think that for sure deserves a lot of credibility because Mourinho fucked it up.
Yeah, and after Mourinho left, there was an expose done by by a journalist who contacted someone in the internal staff. People think it's that Rory, that coach, that assistant coach, and he went on in detail about how toxic everything was, from the cafeteria staff to the coaching staff to everything. Just felt toxic as fuck, and you can't perform your best in a toxic environment. And I think, honestly, Jose Mourinho is done as a top tier manager. I think he could do really good with a shit team and, use this kind of atmosphere to get up a shit team, but he doesn't know how to handle top players anymore. You're seeing it at Tottenham. Jose Mourinho has lost 8 knockout round games in the Champions League in a row. Like, that is ridiculous. From a guy like Karthik said, who won 3 Champions Leagues with 3 different teams, to going and not able to win shit. It's such an incredible demise of, and he keeps getting a top job. I was so surprised when he got Tottenham, and people were saying like, "Oh, Jose Mourinho is bringing up Tottenham. That's why they're getting results." No, they just wanted Pochettino out. It was stale, and now you're seeing he was like, "Oh, he was being all smiley. Where is Dele Alli? I see his brother right now saying, and Sonaldo Nazario." Like he was saying all this like shit for the media, and now it's already like, I subbed off Dele Alli in the Leipzig game because he was shit after 45 minutes. Yeah, Christian Eriksen fucking sucks. Yeah, I don't know what Ndombele is doing. He's always injured. He's overweight. He's your summer signing. He was the top signing for Spurs. He's a huge talent, and apparently is a very sensitive dude. And again, you're just giving him even worse than Pogba got off the start when he's adjusting to life. He's 23, dude. He's fucking 23. Like, he's lost it, in my opinion. He's not a top tier manager anymore.
I think he should honestly just quit while he's ahead now and like.
He's not ahead. He's so far behind.
I mean, right now, but like now what's gonna happen, I feel, is with Spurs as well. I don't think Spurs is making it to the top 4 for sure.
No, not sure.
Yeah,
Kane
and
wants to leave. Dele Alli wants to leave. Like,
but you're right. I guess he just needs to like go to a smaller team maybe, or where like the expectations aren't so high, because he hasn't adapted to modern style of football, dude. He's still living in the past about when he won with what he did with Porto, what he did Madrid, what he did with Chelsea, but those days are over, dude. Like, we have a new generation of players that's come in. We play a different type of football, more like on the counter-attack, attacking type of football, which I don't think Mourinho has ever understood or has
Dude,
tried
I don't know
to.
how it's possible how he took a team like Tottenham, who were one of the best passing team in the
Yeah.
league,
Yeah.
and made them one of the shittiest. They look like they don't have control of the ball.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, dude. He's
Confidence,
had such
like,
good mind.
He's like,
And he can't even like attract the big names anymore. We
No.
Tottenham without even like you even started whinging about like how Tottenham are not giving him any transfer budgets and stuff to make some big purchases and stuff. And you're like, dude, look at yourself. Like, look at your history. You know the reason why they're not doing this for you. And like Tottenham is in like their transition period where they paid a shit ton of money for their like the renovation of the new stadium. So they don't have a lot of like allocations for budgets. So they're expecting Mourinho, who's got a vast experience in the Premier League, to come and sort of bring these changes where they can like change Tottenham from like a number 5 finishing team to like a number 3 finishing team. But then, yeah, his mentality is all fucked already. Like he's already lost the dressing room now. Tottenham has again gone 2 years back. It's gonna suck for them. The only thing I see him doing after this is going back to Portugal and managing like Sporting or Benfica or something like that, and just like ending his career there.
I think he could be good for like a Newcastle, like a shit team in the Premier League where he's like, everything's against us. And those guys, they will take shit because they're not top tier players with, huge egos. He could go to a shit team like Rafa Benitez did and like move them up. I don't know why he went for Spurs. Like his ego is just up here. He should have got a shit team with potential like West Ham. They have so much potential, even though they're playing absolute shit, and brought him up and then proven like, dude, I'm still here. But he had to go for another top club and ruined him. Now his stock is gone.
No, and I feel like I think for him the solution is just buying more players. Like anything that goes wrong, he just feels like, all right, I gotta buy this guy. We'll invest in this guy. And like there's no like player retention. If I was a player in Jose Mourinho's squad, I would be very worried about my place the next year. Because like no matter what I played, see, we've seen this happen with Mata as well when he was player of the season twice in a row, and you fucking sold him. You sold him. Like it's to us, so I'm like happy about that. But yeah, you can expect this. Like Lukaku, this happened to Lukaku as well. Now, like yesterday, something came out where Lukaku praised Oli again about this. Where he mentioned that like Oli really wanted me to stay, but like I just had enough. I had to leave. And and he also said that like Oli was very genuine about it. He helped me out with the transfer, everything, made it as comfortable as easy as it is for the transition to move to Inter Milan. And if someone's like fucked up a player that bad that like even without you being in the club, he still can't stay in the club, that's some like Jose Mourinho tactics there, man. And like I don't see him advancing Tottenham into anything now. I don't think they're out of the Champions League now as well. They're out of every title race, we'll see. I don't have much hope for Jose Mourinho now.
He's just a selfish fuck.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And I think like
unless he changes, like he's not gonna change now, dude. Like it's too late for the dude. Like it's like I don't see it happening. Like if he's gonna go ahead with the same mentality, he's not winning anything.
Yeah, and I think he's just always made selfish moves. I think he needs to just recoup this summer, try to change, but I don't think he will, like you said, go to a shit club and rebuild himself. But he's toxic. He's just absolutely toxic. And finally, dude, that feels like such a weight off my chest because I've been trying to fucking talk shit about Mourinho for so long. Finally, it's out. Like, I feel at peace now. I feel calm. So I think that's it. I think we'll wrap up here unless you boys want to add in anything before we close.
Dude.
All right. Well, this has been the post-Fergie demise, but hopefully recoup now. But the reasons behind why we've been fucking struggling since 2012. Manager edition. I hope you guys liked this video and podcast. Please share it. Like us on Instagram, check us out on all platforms. On Spotify, we're actually doing much better than we thought on Spotify. People are listening to us, which is awesome. Support the channel and spread the love, boys and girls, if you're listening.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Don't touch your face, guys. And wash your hands.
Don't touch your face. Don't touch your face.
Don't do it.
I think I'm
safe. All right. Till
All
the
right.
next one, boys. See you all later.
Peace out.